But one thing that really saved, that I think was probably one of the healthiest things that we put in, was we did a date night, and we were religious. I mean, to the point where we had 3 sitters, two backups, because if someone canceled or whatever, we had the second person we can call, the third person, and every Tuesday, right? It was every Tuesday night. We never missed. I mean, it was sacrilegious for us to miss. The only reason we would miss is if, we were, one of us wasn't in town or something was really happening that we had to be at something, but for the kids, whatever. But otherwise, and the rule was we couldn't talk about the business.
Smart.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of our Life by Life West. I'm Dr. Ron Oberstein, president of Life West, and I am a co-host. The other co-host is my better half, my partner in life and health, Dr. Mary Oberstein. Hi, Mary.
Hi.
Good to see you. And today we've got a couple great guests on. We've got a couple that are just doing amazing things in Hayden, Idaho. We have actually, maybe he owns the town, I don't know, but we have Dr. Hayden Klein and Dr. Katie Klein. And guys, welcome to Life by Life West.
Thanks, Ron.
Great to have you. Was that like a coincidence that, you're practicing, if I was practicing in Oberstein town or something like that?
So I'm Dr. Hayden in Hayden, Idaho, and right in front of us is Hayden Avenue. That's the street we're on. So
Really?
I guess when the listing came up, I just couldn't resist, right?
The mayor of Hayden, right? There we go. There we go. Not the mayor of Kingstown. Wow. Well, it's great having you guys. I mean, Mary and I have been talking. We've been talking about this for how long?
Oh, for a while.
we knew you were coming on. We see the list, right? And we've just been very excited about this time with you guys. It's just awesome. I'll tell our viewers, both Dr. Hayden and Dr. Katie graduated from Life West. Hayden graduated in June of 2020. Katie 2021, June of 2021. Met, I believe, in school and got married and just are doing just amazing things, and they're just very active and they're big contributors and their hearts and souls to the college and just doing great. Hayden, Mary, we've known Hayden since you were probably 1 year old, maybe 2 years old. I don't know. Hayden's father's a chiropractor, Peter Klein, one of my good buddies up in Olympia, just outside of Olympia, Washington. And so Hayden, we've known forever. Katie, we're so blessed to have you, in our lives also. It's just great to see you guys. So let's jump into it, and just kind of talk about, to see where our conversation goes. Mira, I got a ton. Do you want to start off or?
We start. Yeah. Okay. So you guys graduated from Life West. We hugged you goodbye. We said good luck. And it just we just heard great things. It was I know that Hayden, you called Dr. Ron a lot and spoke to him. Tell us about the journey from when you drove away from Life West, where you were, and I know you made a big move. So just kind of start the journey with us.
Awesome, will do. Yeah, so we both left and preceptored at my father's office. We stuck around there for about a year and a half. Learned a ton from my dad. He's a very successful chiropractor. So after a while, we felt like we had what it took, and we were kind of ready to start our own journey. So we moved over to Idaho. Yeah. Anything to add?
No.
But serendipitously, Katie, you're originally from Tacoma or somewhere like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we met in chiropractic college, obviously in the Bay Area. And then we both went back to Washington together. So yeah, it was kind of
But you found out you're 20 minutes apart from each other, you grew up it's just crazy, And then so you got to Idaho, right? Did you even know where you're going, or did you just kind of say, hey, we're just gonna just start traveling and just start seeing what's up? How did you find Hayden Avenue in Hayden, Idaho?
Hayden.
Well, so Katie actually she has some aunts and uncles, quite a bit of family, about 30 minutes south of here in Harrison, Idaho. And then, I have lots of friends, Dr. Max Kelly and some other friends in Spokane. So I found myself visiting this area a lot and just fell in love with it. And then we kind of looked at a map from a business perspective. When you look at our county, if you look to the east, it's all mountains. South is the lake. To the west is the Washington border. So really this whole area is expanding rapidly to the north, and Hayden is kind of north of Coeur d'Alene. So we're where everything is kind of growing to. And that was my intention with this location. I wanted to be the northernmost chiropractor in this area, because all around us is just, houses, new commercial spaces. So kind of intentional with that in mind.
That's cool.
So when was that? When did you find this place?
January of 20.
Yeah, so
2022.
We made a couple trips over here. The building we're in now was actually a pile of dirt when we first found it. And we kind of over the course of probably 6 to 12 months planned our move over here as this building was being built. Probably January 2021 is when we first started looking over here. Yeah, took a couple trips over here, make sure we liked it. We brought Hattie over here to make sure, she liked it. We found a good school for her, stuff like that. So
I love it. When you look, but by the way, you talked about the North, you talked about the South, you talked about the West, but you didn't talk about what's east of you. What state is that?
Montana.
There you go. Music to my ears. Mary and I know we have a place there. But let me ask you a question, because obviously your journey is as easy as it sounds. It's never that easy, right? It's kind of like talking to someone who comes out goes west, back in 1883, and they don't talk about the Indians and the covered wagons and the wheels that break and all that kind of stuff, right? And I know that you had a lot of decisions that you had to make. And what I didn't do, and Katie, I really want to acknowledge you for this and even share about this. I know that chiropractic wasn't your number one focus when you were in college, and rightfully so. You came to school with Hattie, and Hattie was how old when you started, your daughter?
She just turned 18 months.
18 months. Yeah. And so, here you are with an 18-month-old, right? Hattie's father wasn't here, obviously. So you were raising your child. You had your mom and your nuclear family. Wasn't in the Bay Area, and here you are going to college, having a daughter, making sure your daughter. I remember her being in class with you. I remember seeing her in the hallways, and all that kind of stuff. And I love what you said that Hayden, you had to bring Hattie over to be able to make sure that she liked it, because she's part of, obviously she's a big decision in the family. But, Katie, how did that influence you? Having listen, kids are wonderful. We know that, but it's a lot of work, to be able to juggle all that.
Yeah. I tell people all the time, I think I just blacked out those few years. I don't really remember much. I do say that chiropractic was so new to me, the philosophy and all of it, because I came from a completely different corporate world. And I remember writing the essay to apply to school, and it was what is innate? And I'm like, God, I don't know, Googling all of it. But I remember going to what was then called Champions Weekend, right? It's called Discovery, I think now.
Discovery.
Yeah. So I went to Champions Weekend, and that was my first whoa of following innate. I went there and just said yes to the process. And then that day, found a place to live. I found childcare, who ended up being my bestest friend for those 4 years and became my tribe. And the move, everything, the childcare was the most seamless thing possible. And I only could ever believe that it's because I followed that innate, just said yes. Right. Yeah. So that process of getting there was fine. It was when that first few rounds of finals came around, and I was oh my gosh, I was barely sleeping. I remember setting my alarm for every 45 minutes. So I'd sleep for 45 minutes and then study 45 minutes and just do that all night long. And there was times too where Hattie would spike fevers during finals week, and I know it's because of me, right? Because I'm so stressed, she's just having a response to me. So I don't know. It was really difficult, but you just do it.
Yeah.
She was like, why too. I mean, like, you just have to figure out to get through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, of all the things I've done in my life, I still can't comprehend going through college with a child.
Yeah.
Even with two parents, like I cannot comprehend how that happens with sleep and all that stuff and prioritizing studies. So kudos to you. I don't even know how you did that, but I'm sure. And then fast forwarding to opening the practice, obviously then there was two of you. Was it like splitting duties, almost like, okay, you know, one of you had Hattie, the other one focused on something? Like, what was the process then of actually opening the business? And what did you start with? Was it like bare bones?
So initially we moved here and I had got an associate position. It just, and I'll leave it at that job didn't really work out. After a couple months, I was like, this is not a good fit for me. And the space, like I said, it was already being built. We were kind of already watching it, and we just kind of had to say, well, I guess this is what we're doing, and sign the contract, or went for it. So initially I was working, trying to, you know, put some savings away for us. She was focused more on Hattie. And then once we kind of had to jump off the ledge and just go for it, it was just, I mean, yeah, anything we could do. She has been with us for so much of this. Yeah. And there's times where we feel bad, like, you know, oh my goodness, she's sitting in the office for 2 hours while we're painting it. But at the same time, I know how powerful it is for her to watch her parents like building something together, you know? And so it's been emotional, it's been hard, but we think in the long run, we're doing the right thing, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can guarantee you that her memories when she talks to you guys about, you know, over Thanksgiving when she comes home for college will be about, man, I remember sitting in the office when we first got that space, and I just remember painting, and I remember all the things because they're so indelible, and it's part of the process. It's beautiful. So then you started the practice, and obviously, you know, let's jump into the practice, and Hayden, I believe that when you went to Idaho, you went there to open your practice. You did the associateship just for a time being while, I think didn't you make like a short commitment, letting them know you're going to help out for a short while, so that because you knew you're up front right away that you know, you're starting your own thing, right?
Yeah, I wanted full disclosure to let that person know. My plan was maybe a year or two, get established in the town, because that's one thing that is challenging, is we are brand new to this county. Nobody knows us yet, you know? So yeah, the plan was to open up in the next, year or two, but it just ended up getting accelerated quite a bit, as a matter of fact.
The universe had different plans, you know? So what's it like? What was it like, building your practice? Give me a challenge that you kind of felt was, that's on the top of your mind.
Build out was a huge one. I mean, that's not while we're in practice really, but just doing the build out in general, I think that's something that you're not prepared for. When you're going from ground up, there's so many like wall textures that you don't even know exist, and like ceiling finishes and, codes, and where do you put an outlet? And like each outlet is like $328. So it's very like being mindful, and like actually I learned so much during the build out. And,
obviously we have my dad, who's been a huge role model for us and has taught us a lot, but Katie's parents are major entrepreneurs as well. And her dad, Kelly, is a contractor. And they made 3 or 4 trips over here to help us paint, to help us, decide what stuff to do with that. The owner of our building gave us this huge bill. It's going to cost X amount of money to build this. And thankfully, thanks to her dad and then Katie being a bit of a bulldog, we were able to talk them down to about half of that, which if it was me, I would have said, well, I guess I need more money, to pay for it. I would have had no idea how to manage that. So that was all her and her dad. Yeah, thank goodness.
So in my head, I got this conversation going right now, because Katie, I can just hear it. If it's anything like my daughters, which you definitely are, I just hear it like, Dad, can I talk to you for a second? $328 for an outlet. Is that like real, or am I hallucinating? Right, kind of deal, right? And then he's telling you whatever he's telling you, and now you got the ammunition to go back and do that kind of thing, right? I could just hear those conversations going back and forth like that. Yeah, and so you got it. How long did it take? What was the problem? 2 months, 5 months, 8 months?
Probably 6 months total. And then a lot, like the last month of it was all us. I mean, once the drywall was up, me and Katie's dad, we put the lead up in our x-ray room. We did all the painting, we did all the trim. I mean, that last month of it, to save a ton of money, we really were the ones to put it together.
Yeah. Yep. Mary?
Yeah, I was going to say, so that's impressive.
Very.
Okay, so it's the office is done. While it was being done, were you guys out in the community, or were you just focused on getting the office ready?
So, yeah, that's been huge. Katie obviously has met tons of other moms and parents at Hattie's school. It's in a church, so there's a good church community there. That's been huge for us. I joined a local jiu-jitsu gym here. It was also a brand new kind of a business. So the owner and I worked a lot together. We sent a lot of people to each other's businesses, other gyms, weightlifting. So like I said, we're in Coeur d'Alene, but we live in the northern tip, which is a relatively small for now town called Hayden. I try and tell people all the time, I try and spend my money in Hayden. You know, every time I go to the bank, I think of that as a networking opportunity, an opportunity to meet someone. Not that I'm trying to sell anyone anything, but just we're very intentional with where we spend our time, I would say, for that reason. Yeah.
Well, I think that's great, because this is your community.
Exactly.
You want to give back to your community. So when you opened the doors, did you already have people lined up from like the work you did, or was it just like, okay, hit the ground running? And like, tell what that process was like, and how, because I know you had some pretty rapid growth.
Yeah, a little bit. So a few people, I did not at all try to have, anyone follow me from the other practice I was at for a couple months, but it's natural that some people are going to find you, whether you tell them where you're going or not. They're going to Google you, so we probably had 5 people here on the first day, and that is a scary day. The first day you open your doors, you're like, well, we're either going to sink or swim. We're going to find out pretty fast. We utilized the Chamber of Commerce to do like a red ribbon cutting. That was awesome. That kind of got us some exposure. I spoke to another small new business in town here. They were able to get into the newspaper just as like a brand new business opening. So they gave me a contact for someone to put a little article of us in the newspaper. So that was huge, got us some exposure. And then it's 2023 now, there's the modern way. So we did utilize a few advertisements in the beginning, which is something we never really imagined ourselves doing. But like I said, we're brand new to this state, to this county. So it's just good to give yourself some exposure. And then I would say, because this place is growing so rapidly, the advertisements actually did well, just because you have so many people who are like, yeah, I just moved here from Orange County. I've been getting adjusted once a week for the last 10 years. I need a new chiropractor. I saw you, So the combination of the timing and kind of the economy here, it just worked out really well.
How about, go Katie.
I want to add on to that. There was like other chiropractors in town where like even I was like looking around trying to find like maybe like I wanted to get adjusted by someone else in town to kind of see their different styles. And a lot of chiropractors in town are weeks out for their new patient appointments. And so something like that was mind blowing to us, but also like amazing for us, because we were available, and we had a lot of people call saying they couldn't get into other chiropractors. And we're open on Saturdays, and we get a ton of business on Saturdays from new patients because other offices are not open on Saturdays.
They're closed Friday, Saturday, Sunday, so our phone's ringing nonstop on some of the times we're available and other people aren't. And and like she said, this town of Hayden itself has doubled in the last 5 years in population, and it's supposed to double again in the next. So that's kind of why we chose this area, as well as Katie having some family here. So.
Right. Did you guys do any digital advertising, or not even advertising, but social media, Instagram, Facebook, that kind of thing?
So essentially, we ran, just a little pictures of Katie and I and some reviews from back when we were in Washington, and just to get some exposure. And yeah, that definitely helped a lot. And then obviously, once you get that base of clientele, you can kind of, get referrals from there. And we'll do cute little giveaways and stuff too. Just, hey, if you bring a friend, that'd be awesome, stuff like that. So
right now, would you say, and listen, I just want to let you've been in practice how long? From when you
like 7 months.
7 months, you're somewhere in the mid 200s right now. We don't want to necessarily give full numbers out, but somewhere in the mid 200s right now. And obviously that's phenomenal for, being in practice for 7 months, right? Majority of your people right now coming from referral?
I would say, yeah, referrals, just from word of mouth. Obviously we network with a couple lawyers and stuff. People get hurt at work, those kind of situations.
Right.
Yeah, I would say predominantly about 75% referral at this point.
Right.
I would say we have a lot of one person from a family comes, and then they bring their whole family, and then their parents, and then their sisters. And it's a lot of we have one last name, but it's a lot of them. And then
generational growth, right?
Yeah.
It's a tremendous advantage when, I'm adjusting a husband and his wife and kids are in the waiting room, and they see Katie adjusting a newborn, and they go, oh, you do families. Oh yeah, actually, for just this much more money, your whole family, your household can come. That's pretty much, how we take one person and turn it into 10. And we're just doing that over and over again, which has been awesome.
That's how we built our practice as well.
Yeah.
So I have a question. So the growth, was it what you expected? I'm wondering, was it what you expected, or was it ever oh my God, this is too much. How are we going to handle this?
Or both?
I think we both, he'll never fail in his head. So I knew we were never going to fail. And the growth came faster than we thought it was going to. I think making the decision to hire somebody was a really stressful moment for me, because I'm so numbers, how does this equate? But the second we hired somebody, we jumped. And then the second we hired our office manager, we jumped again. And even when we're at in their weekly numbers, we saw gaps in our schedule. And I think I'm always we could do more.
Do more.
We have so much leg time where we get out of flow, where I'm okay, let's keep going.
Get those phones going. Yeah. Like she said, we just try and keep a very positive attitude, and even on the hard days, we just try and tell ourselves this is going to be okay. We know we got this. We can see more. We could always do more. I just think that's a good, be realistic with yourself, but also you have to have a little bit of that just as an entrepreneur. You really can't get into a mindset where you think you're going to fail. You just have to know it's going to work out.
Yeah. Trust the process, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Katie, when you said yes to chiropractic, right? It's like you said, everything just flowed, where you guys said yes to doing this. And it doesn't mean it's going to be, unicorns and popsicles all the time, right? It's, it means that it's going to be whatever it is. My question to you guys is this, is that, when you go through what you've had ups and downs, that, we don't want to paint this picture that it was just like this, but it is a pretty strong curve, not even a curve, a ascent, right? A pretty steep ascent to go to where you need 7 months to get to where you are sustainably, not I popped up there and now I'm back down. Because Hayden, you're always texting me and kind of sharing and asking me questions and that kind of thing. But the question I have for you is, have you had the feelings? I think it's important for our viewers to hear this, that the practice has owned you at times. Do you know what I'm talking about? Where it's it's running you instead of you're running it, if you know what I mean. Share if you had an experience like that, or what you do with that experience when that comes about. Because I think that, every practitioner has, going to experience it at some point. But I'd like to hear how you guys handle that.
So I can point to a couple examples. If I even start talking about one of them, Katie's going to kind of start melting down here. We have a massage therapist in here as one of our employees, and we have yet to install a washer and dryer in the office. So right now, when we're not working, we're doing laundry, you know, to get her up to date, you know, so she's ready for the next day. So it really never feels like we have a day off. And then another thing we have, it's, again, modern day, we have a program utilized. It's not our phone number, but there is a phone number people can text to reach the office. And I can think to a couple times where, you know, I'm in the gym on my lunch break and, you know, so-and-so slipped and fell down the stairs and they need help. And it's like, you really, really don't feel like you ever get a break. That's one of the things bringing on help employees really helped with. And now I know there's someone here I can trust. And when that, you know, phone starts ringing or whatever, someone I know can handle it, you know, is capable, is on that other end. But for those first 3-4 months when it was just us, I mean, very, very overwhelmed. And we're still overwhelmed, to be, you know, quite frank. We don't really feel like we can take our foot off the gas yet. So yeah, but I don't know, we're also enjoying the ride. So
yeah, definitely not rainbows and unicorns. I mean, I'm here we have like Thursdays off and Sundays off, and I'm here doing, like you said, laundry. So I'm doing like pickup, drop off, folding. And then on Sundays, I'm here strictly cleaning all day long, I feel like. So there is a lot. I don't ever feel like I have a day off, and, you know, it's just a grind, and I expect it to be a grind for a while.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, the good news is that you guys recognize that it's a grind, and you probably even recognize, like, at some point we need to have some boundaries.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So I love that you're so young and you already know that. Some chiropractors I know in our era, we didn't realize that till like 20 years in. Till it was like kind of like felt burnt out. At least you're feeling it now. So I get the grind, but, and I wouldn't even tell you right now, oh, come on, take care of yourself, have some, like, do what you need to do. But just the fact that you're acknowledging that, I think is the first step.
Yeah.
It's learning little things. Like, for example, when our brains go to like what space, like for me, when I get home at 6, I'm done. Work is over with. And like right when my head hits the pillows, when Katie goes, what do you think about turning room 3 into this? You know, and I'm like, oh, I can't right now. You know, I can't go there. I won't sleep.
That's a good boundary to have.
Yeah. So we kind of, she knows now, like at this time, I'm not allowed to talk about this, you know, and we're just learning each other like that every day. You know, we've been together 5 years now. We're still learning those things about each other. So, yeah.
And you work the same shifts? Are you in there always at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, we do a morning shift and an afternoon shift, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Tuesday, and Saturdays. We're only here for a couple hours. I will stay later. Katie usually goes home about an hour earlier than me. Otherwise, we're pretty much, same schedule. But like I said, we're seeing a lot of families, so it's kind of cool that we're both here at that same time.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mary, I think what kept us sane a lot of times, you know, being a couple, working, we got to the point where we worked opposite shifts. You know, so Mary was but we had associates. So Mary was in the mornings on Mondays and Wednesdays. I was in the afternoon on Mondays and Wednesdays. I worked Tuesday afternoon. She was off. She worked Thursday afternoon. I was off. So in those days, we'd pick our kids, whatever day who had that day, we'd pick our kids up at school, go to their events, do all that stuff, right? And then Friday mornings, I think I was in there when I was in town, right? And then Mary was there the other time. But one thing that really saved, that I think was probably one of the healthiest things that we put in, was we did a date night, and we were religious. I mean, to the point where we had 3 sitters, backups, 2 backups, because if someone canceled or whatever, we had the second person we can call, the third person. And every Tuesday, right? It was every Tuesday night. We never missed. I mean, it was sacrilegious for us to miss. The only reason we would miss is if, you know, we were, one of us wasn't in town or something was really happening that we had to be at something, but for the kids, whatever. But otherwise, and the rule was we couldn't talk about the business.
Smart.
Hey, start taking your wife out on date nights, right? You got to pay, but you got to set the.
It was tough. It was tough in the beginning. I remember, like, I'd be like, we'd be having dinners, and I'd be like, wait, can I just have 5 minutes? I just have to say something about the office. No, go ahead. 5 minutes.
Yeah, but it was like it really kind of kept our boundaries there, and to allow us to step away, just to hold hands and walk through the mall. I mean, it didn't have to be a lot of things we were doing, but it was also time to talk about the kids and talk about, what are we doing, and and where do we want to go for vacation, and all that kind of stuff. And we would just be able to just kind of really connect on that level, because the business becomes a child in your practice. It is. It's your baby, kind of deal, right? Now you have 2 kids, kind of thing. Hey, I want to ask you guys a question because we got to kind of wrap pretty soon. What's your vision? Like your vision for the future, if I was to ask you, for the practice and for yourselves, what would you say? What innately comes up for each of you? Katie, I'll ask you first.
Okay. Our building is for sale. And so that's like what's on my vision board right now. So my big vision is to build this as fast and timely as possible so that we can afford the luxury of buying the building. And then big goal, I want to like expand to the other side. The building's 3,000 square feet. So I want to take the other half over. That's big goal. And then life, we love where we live. I honestly we'll be here forever. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about big goals. We just,
one reason I'd say we moved to Idaho and got off the coast is, it's a little more spread out. You can actually get yourself a nice chunk of land. We'd like to do the whole self-sufficient thing. We have 2 cows now. They're on Katie's uncle's ranch down in Harrison. We would like to eventually have, our own cows on our own property, our own garden, our own chickens, etc. There's a very big, a lot of people do that out here. So it's a great place to be kind of involved in that. Like Katie said, to continue growing the practice, I would like to have a couple associates. So, I can only be here 3 days a week. Like you said, right now we have our foot on the gas, but eventually we'd like to be able to step back a little bit, take this whole building over, just kind of keep growing and expanding. Have a few more children and
I love it. Well, promise me this, that, I think you have to wait another year. You have to be out for like 3 years, whatever, but you'll be a preceptor office so that our graduates can be able to come. Not our graduates, our last year students. You don't know this, maybe. I don't even know. Our last year is completely online now. So completely. So after 10th quarter for the 14 quarter program, our students can leave Hayward and they can go anywhere in the world as long as they're working for a licensed chiropractor. And it's all online. So they could be working and do their other clinical requirements and that kind of stuff. And when you guys were here, you got into outpatient clinic like in 11th quarter, something like that, right? They're now an outpatient clinic in 8th quarter.
Wow.
So they can get through, and they get certain requirements they have to hit, not the full ones, but certain requirements to enable them to go out and do the preceptorships. And 75% of our students are out on preceptorships. So please, the hallways seem empty because of that, or more empty. But please, think about doing that. Guys, we got to wrap. You guys inspire me, really, just to kind of see what you're doing and how you're growing a community. And I think the biggest thing, Mary, is I know you're doing it out of, service to humanity. Is, you're not doing it for money and doing it for this, so that helps. And it's nice. And we want to live nice lifestyles, but the why is bigger than the reward. Right. And so I think that's so cool. But we got a couple questions we're going to leave you with. We do with all of our people are on Life by Life West. Mary, you want to do the first one?
I'll start with the first one. And I'm going to start with Katie. Okay. With the wisdom that you have now, even though you haven't been out of school that long, if you could go back and give Katie, just starting first quarter at Life West, if you could give her advice, knowing what you know now, what would you say to her?
Just keep trusting, and that it's always going to work out. Yeah.
It's great. I love it. Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Hayden, how would you answer that question?
Same question. I would say really lean into and foster those relationships with people, professors, your pod doc, other students while you're at Life West, because I'm probably on the phone with 5 different chiropractors a day. And that's been so huge for us, bouncing ideas off people, having that community. in our friend group, it's becoming a joke about like how many weddings we have to go to, because we're all marrying each other, and it's just that's been so huge for us. So I would tell myself, really focus on and foster all those relationships, because they're gonna matter going forward.
And they start at school. I mean, that's
absolutely,
as you know, some of your best friends in life right now, and that will be, that you'll be vacationing with in 40 years, are people that you're in school with, we're in school with, and your kids are going to grow up together and that kind of stuff. Good. Second question, Hayden, I'll start with you. Same question, 30-second answer, just innately what comes up. And this is going to be interesting for Mary and I to hear, because we ask this to people, and you guys are 7 months out. So what would you say? Same question to Hayden, right? Just graduating. What would you say to that person? What advice would you give them from what you know now?
Practice gratitude. I think when times get stressful, when your practice is plateauing, when you don't know what to do, practicing gratitude would kind of help keep your head on straight, right? Yeah. That's been probably, we do the give, do, love, serve for a reason. Gratitude is, a staple in that message. And I think it can really carry you really, really far when times are tough, which they are after school. It's so cliche to say the real work becomes after school. When you hear that and it's finals week, you're like, yeah, whatever, to the guy on the seminar stage. But it's true. It really gets tough. But practicing gratitude will carry you through.
Yeah. Tough and rewarding. Tough and rewarding. And I think the bigger rewards come from the tougher it is, right? Kind of deal. Katie, same thing. Talking to Dr. Katie, just graduating, just leaving, just stepping into the chiropractic world. What advice would you give to her from where you are right now?
I would say breathe. That a lot of people think they need to get out of school and like hit the ground running. And I know a lot of people get out of school and they just need a moment. And I think it's okay to acknowledge that we all have different ways that we like dealt with school, and it can be a very huge stress. And so I left school like, I gotta go, like I got bills to pay, and I think if I would have just taken a moment to breathe, I would have like set myself up. I wouldn't have been so like stressed and then now more stress.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's great. I love it.
Love that.
Wow. Great talking with you guys.
There's one thing that I just want to tell you. When you said before about, that you feel bad sometimes for Hattie when you're there painting.
Yeah. I
can tell you from my vantage point now, where we have our kids are in their 30s, we have grandkids now, is that our daughters now tell us that some of the best lessons they learned were listening to Ron and I in the pool talking about chiropractic. Like when we didn't, like, it wasn't when we sat down with them and told them about universal intelligence. It was them just like being there with us when we were doing stuff. And we were unaware of this, but they told us like, there was like just times when we just brought them along, that they remember light bulbs going off and hearing things. So I'm sure when she's watching you guys work together, she's learning a lot more than you'll ever know.
Yeah.
But don't ever feel guilty that she's there. It's really a gift you're giving her.
Yeah. I love that.
Though it might not feel it. It is.
I know.
It is. Well, thank you guys. You know what? It's just wonderful to have you on Life by Life West, and both of you. It's just great to see both of you, actually. So thank you for all you're doing, in Hayden, Idaho, on Hayden Avenue. Katie with Hayden Klein, right? I'm telling you, he's going to be the mayor one day, right?
Planting that seed. You heard it here first.
Yeah. There you go. But no, really, thank you guys for what you're doing, because, you're very inspiring, and what you're doing in your community and what you're going to continue to do and continue to build right now, is just incredible. And really just inspiring. And so thank you. Thanks for joining us, for taking the time to join us. To our viewers, thank you. There's a lot that was said here. And if you hear this, watch it. This is on podcast also, so you can listen to it. There's just a lot there, everything from talking about gratitude to the steps that it takes. And it's not going to be easy, but if you keep your mind on the prize, your eye on the prize, things are going to happen, and just knowing why you're doing what you're doing, and so much much more. So, share this with people, and we appreciate it right now. We've got 4,000 to 5,000 people, that view these and listen to the podcast, do whatever. Just share these. I mean, it's so important that people can hear this. I don't care if you're in practice for 25 years or if you're in practice for 7 months, it doesn't matter. There's always something to learn. And as, Hayden and Katie said, that they're always learning from their friends and being able to do that. We all have to learn from each other. So thanks for being part of our group, part of our community of Life by Life West and of course, Life Leadership Line. We drop these every other week, the Life by Life West. The opposite weeks are the Life Leadership Line. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate that you're in this game to make a difference in humanity. So once again, from Dr. Murray, myself, from Dr. Katie and Dr. Hayden, love and appreciate all of you, and keep doing what is right to do. And as Dr. Katie said, just say yes, because that's what makes the difference. So until we meet again, we'll bid you adieu, and we'll see you next time on Life by Life West.